And our next speaker, it's Mr. Christos Arampatzis. He is the head of NPPO Greece. So, Mr. Arampatzis, the floor is yours. I will stop sharing so you can start your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, I will try to be very brief, okay,
Okay.
and I will try also to present you the situation that we have here in Greece regarding the outbreaks of Spodoptera frugiperda and also the surveys activities that we perform in here in Greece. I would like to let you know that this presentation was made in collaboration with our National Reference Laboratory here in Greece, that is the Benaki Phytopathological Institute, which is also a partner in that specific project. Now, I would like to...
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Christos. If you can speak closer to the microphone so we can
Yes,
hear you
now it's better?
better. Yes, thank you.
Okay. So, first of all, I would like to give you a brief presentation of the Greek phytosanitary system. Basically, I am the head of the Department of Phytosanitary Control under the National Plant Protection Organization of Greece, which is the authority that is responsible for all the plant health issues in the Hellenic territory. Regarding the EU legislation, the legislation of European Union, and also for the implementation also of the International Plant Protection Convention of FAO. And basically we have our directorate, and then we have the number of services. Some specific services are dedicated for the controls on the propagating material. Some other services, they are responsible for the import control at the borders. And then we have a third kind of services that is responsible for the surveys and also for the export control. Okay. And basically all this is done in collaboration also with our National Reference Laboratory, which is the Benaki Phytopathological Institute. Our laboratory is accredited according to ISO 17025 of 2017, and also is participating in inter-laboratory proficiency tests with the relevant EURLs. And regarding now the procedures that you use in monitoring and scouting for detection of the Spodoptera frugiperda, basically we are doing the pheromone trapping, and then we are using also the scouting of the fields, especially in the areas where we have established demarcated zones. And in that specific slide, you can see the mixture of pheromones that we are using in our survey system. The problem is that this specific mixture is not, let's say, specific for Spodoptera frugiperda, but it produces and has a lot of noise, the traps. That means that we are gathering a lot of adult males in the traps, and since you cannot perform the identification of the pest in the field, our inspectors are obliged to send the samples to the laboratory in order to do the analysis of the specimens, basically by the, let's say, the traditional method of dissecting the genitalia, and also based on molecular methods. And here in that diagram, you can see that the number of specimens that they are sent to the laboratory from the beginning of the first finding of Spodoptera frugiperda on 2023 has risen dramatically. And this is a problem because this creates a lot of burden to our laboratory, and has as a result our scientists and our researchers to put a lot of effort in order to be precise on identifying the pest. As you already know, And as you all know, fall armyworm is a habitat generalist. That means that it can eat a variety of foods and thrive in a range of habitats. And this has, as a result, the European Union to list the pest in the list of the priority pests for the European Union. And more precisely, there is a specific implementing regulation in the European Union, the implementing regulation 1134 of 2023, which requires for the member states to do specific things before finding the pest and also after finding the pest. Basically, in Greece, we are performing surveys. We have two different areas. We have the mainland of Greece, where we do not have the pest, and in there we are obliged to do regular annual surveys for the early detection. And then we have also some areas which are demarcated. And in those specific areas, we are obliged also to do surveys, more intensive surveys, and the objective of those surveys is the eradication of the pest, the possible eradication of the pest. And in all these cases, in our surveys, we take under consideration the pest survey cards of the European Food Safety Authority. Also, according to the EU legislation, we are obliged and we have in place and we are implementing a national contingency plan, and this is referring to the areas of Greece where we do not have the pest, and also we are implementing a national action plan to the areas of Greece where we have demarcated zones. Now, regarding the surveys for early detections, basically in Greece we conduct our annual official surveys since 2019. And to give you an example on the number of traps that we used, I will start from 2023. This is the year of the first finding of Spodoptera in Greece, where we had established a network of 110 traps. And then from 2024 and on the non-demarcated areas, we went to a network of 229 pheromone traps, and on 2025 in a network of 213 pheromone traps. And then after the finding of the pest, we had to demarcate areas. In those specific areas, we have a more intensive surveys going on. We have a more intensive, more dense network of traps, and then we accompany this also with scouting of the surrounding fields by our phytosanitary inspectors. Here you can see in that specific slide a summary of the surveys that we conduct in the demarcated areas. They also take into consideration the pest survey card of EFSA and also the relevant requirements that we are obliged to do so by the Article 7 of the implementing regulation 1134. Now, here you can see the situation that was in Greece after the first finding of 2023, and with the red color you can see the areas that we have demarcated regarding Spodoptera frugiperda in Greece. And in the next map you see the situation that we have in 2024. Okay, we didn't find anything, for example, in the region of Peloponnesos. Here I am pointing out with my cursor. And you see the rest of the areas that we have demarcated in Greece. Basically are the islands of Aegean and the island of Creta in the southern part of the Hellenic territory. A more detailed view of the demarcated areas in Greece, and the situation is the same as we proceed. We do not have any new findings in the mainland of Greece, which is where we might have a major problem, because in the mainland of Greece we cultivate a lot of cotton and a lot of corn. And this is the situation that we are having right now at the end of 2025. The pest is found mainly in the islands and in the already established demarcated areas back in 2023, and no new findings and no new areas of demarcation are established, and more or less we have a stable situation. To give you now an idea on the efforts done and on the resources that they are needed, here you see the total number of traps that we have increased regarding Spodoptera frugiperda. And you can see that the number of traps that we have in the demarcated areas is going up. So basically, at the end of 2025, we have a total number of traps of 632 in whole Greece, and in the demarcated areas, the number of traps was 419. And here is another view from a specific application that was made by the Benaki Phytopathological Institute to record all the data that our inspectors are gathering from the demarcated areas. So you can see that the total number of checks on traps for 2025 was 16,000, let's say, the checks on traps, and there was a total number of 6,500 scouting in the demarcated areas by our phytosanitary inspectors. Here are some statistical data regarding the trapping, the positive trapping, and the inspections done in the various demarcated areas in Greece during the years 2023, 24, and 25. And what are we seeing? And our, let's say, entomologists in Benaki Phytopathological Institute, they are saying is that the number, let's say, of the fall armyworm, it is, let's say, in most of the cases is falling, or it's staying at the let's say, a stable number. We are finding, the question is that we find the pest in the fields. Yes, of course, we find some, let's say, damages in the fields. Mainly, this is in fields where we cultivate corn for animal feed, or sorghum also for animal feed. And in those specific cases, the approach is either to spray with insecticides or to rotate and to change cultivation, the cultivated species. For example, in a specific island, which is named Kos, we changed from corn and sorghum to alfalfa, and we saw that we had an enormous decrease in the number of the larvae and in the population of all armyworm. And here is another diagram showing the number of inspections and how was risen dramatically from 2023 to 2025. Now, when we find the most important populations, the reason in the population of fall armyworm, here in Greece, it is during autumn. It begins from September and goes to October, November, and December. We have established a reporting system regarding the surveys. We have a reporting system for the non-demarcated areas, and we have a more sophisticated and more detailed system established by the Benaki Phytopathological Institute in the demarcated areas, where the members and the personnel of the Benaki Phytopathological Institute, they are uploading in real time the results of their scouting. And in case that they have found some adults in the traps, they send them to the Benaki Phytopathological Institute, to the laboratory. And then they are uploading also pictures of the scouting, pictures and of the fields, and and all, let's say, the required data in order to be precise and in order to have a clear picture of what is happening in the fields and in the demarcated areas. We have also established through the Benaki Phytopathological Institute, of course, a web application for the farmers and the stakeholders in general, in order to be aware of the situation and of the findings in the traps. And furthermore, the entomologists in Benaki Phytopathological Institute, they have combined and they have, let's say, created a new web application. In the top of the slide, you can see also the link. It is in Greek also and in English, where they tried to combine the results from our scouting and from our traps with the climatological and ecological parameters that they are present in the Greek and territory, making use a lot of the parameters that we find in the Climax model, the growth index, etc. And here you can see, for example, I have 3 pictures. The first 2 is a week of the beginning of spring. Then we have a week on April and another one on autumn. And you can see in the red areas the conditions where the climatic and local conditions are favorable for the pest. So it is during the autumn. And what is the, let's say, for us as the ministry, the importance of this map is that we can guide our inspectors and we can guide also and focus our survey effort and monitoring effort to that specific areas in order to save the costs of the resources and then also to be more effective. Now, regarding the measures, we're taking measures and the scope is to eradicate. This is our application also from the EU legislation. These measures are prescribed in the EU legislation, but also in more details in our action plan. And also, according to the EU legislation, we are obliged to inspect the consignments that they are moving out from the demarcated areas to the rest of the European Union and to issue the so-called plant passport. Here you can see a diagram of the plant passporting procedure for consignments of peppers, bell peppers, etc., and aubergines. Mainly we cultivate these crops in the island of Creta, in the southern part of Greece. And also you can see in the pictures the labels with the flag of the European Union. This is the plant passport. And that label safeguards the rest of the EU territory, shows that there were inspections of the consignments And the pepes and Arampatzis are not transferring larvae or eggs of the Spodoptera frugiperda. All this time, we had also, in a collaboration with Benaki Phytopathological Institute, we had an enormous amount, let's say, we had a lot of activities regarding the public awareness of the farmers, of the ordinary people, the public, etc., and the agronomists. You can see some photos from the web or to the newspapers, local newspapers. We had meetings with the producers and with the producers of propagating material, of course. We had workshops with the Hellenic Entomological Society. We issued leaflets for the farmers and also posters. And I would like to close with the results of the public awareness, because now the ordinary people and the farmers, they know about Spodoptera frugiperda, but they are very, very afraid. So this is a photo, because we have a big cultivation also of strawberries in Greece, in the western part of Greece, where we do not have Spodoptera frugiperda. And we immediately received an email with a photo from a farmer, and then immediately we have a system where we send the local phytosanitary inspectors to see, to take samples and to send to the Benaki Phytopathological Institute. And we would like to follow with that last slide, where you can see some critical aspects that we consider and question also that we have to put on whether the pest will cause future crisis in the European Union and in the Hellenic territory. And this has to do with the following questions: in which areas the pest will establish populations, level of the population that will overwinter, how the pest will behave to non-preferred hosts, what will be the migratory pattern of the pest to other areas, what was the and is the origin of the pest, and of course, a very important thing that has to do with the pheromone trapping, and this has to do with the noise and with the efficacy of trapping, because the populations in Greece are not very high.
Mm.
So we have to deal with the efficacy of the traps and of course with the noise. And thank you for your attention, and I apologize for the length of the presentation. I tried to be to run quickly the slides. Of course, if you want, I can send you also the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Arampatzis.